friends, and welcome. Welcome to Liberation and Unity with Grace. I'm Grace Cavanaugh, and I'm really glad you're here. This is our first episode of this series that I'm going to be doing on the regular. And I just wanted to sort of make this disclaimer on this first video. I am intentionally going to be just raw and real myself, talk and be as authentic as I am. And to that end, at least for now, what I have decided is my videos aren't going to be edited. Whatever comes through is just what's going to happen and come through. I just need to say that because I feel that within our society now, and within, like, even on YouTube and all of the ways that we watch video and other people and we learn from them, there's a lot of editing, and that's not a bad thing. God knows that's fine because people need it, right? But at the same time, I feel like we have all these lots of sound bites, and the videos are often speeded up, and they are always kind of sometimes cookie cutter and all the things. So my point is not that I'm judging that. I'm really not. I'm just saying I'm wanting to offer into the collective my version of something that I feel is kind of lost, that we kind of need to slow down and get real with each other. Really real. I see that needed, especially now when it seems so divisive, when there seems to be pick A or pick B only, and that's it, and these are your choices, and that's the way, and you're either on that camp or this camp and all the things. I used to live in a lot of black and white thinking, for a long time, and I think we can, because a lot of the world is structured in kind of those ways. And I guess the long of that is that I'm just basically saying, for me, I think that we all need a little bit more communion and community, and ways of doing that goes through communication. And the communication that we have within ourselves is one of the huge pieces that I will be talking about, because it is my own inner experience, that my own inner dialogue, my own inner awareness, my own inner mastery is what creates my reality. And that is my living experience. So, focusing on the word communication, my communication with you is intentionally that I am coming from my authenticity. That is paramount to me. It always has been. So that's how I'm beginning this beginning. And I just wanted to say I'm happy you're here. So with that, one of the pieces of the conversation I wanted to talk about today is around this idea of what is liberation, since this is what this is all kind of talked about, right? I mean, as far as even this show, liberation, and also let's conclude that right now, unity. So liberation is a thing that I have experienced in stages. There's a freedom that comes through the deep kind of work that we do on an inner level with our own consciousness, with our own awareness, with our own willingness to remove the blocks and the obstacles and the patterning, because there's a lot of patterns that get laid down in early childhood. And unless you become conscious of those early childhood patternings, you are operating from a system of those patterns, but you have to make it become aware. You got to bring that up to the surface, that these things that you're operating from are not necessarily who you are. They are the patterns that created and shaped you, but they are not who you are. That unwinding, I'm going to say it again, is the way to liberation. Becoming consciously aware of our inner workings, what we're thinking, how we're really feeling. I mean, like, so many people are walking around not even truly connected to how they feel, but they're actually having responses all day long to how they feel. They're in reaction to how they feel, not actually questioning, looking at, dealing with, feeling about how they feel, so that then they can have a different kind of response. So that is and was, for me personally, the beginning. It is the beginning. That's the personal beginning. And I think that when you recognize that the personal beginning starts with you, therein lies responsibility. So to me, I want to preface that all of these things that I say are really from my lived experience rather than this is the only way. That is not so. This is not necessarily the only way. This is my interpretations, right? So we all have these filters of life that we have lived, and our experiences shape our filters. Simultaneous to that, when we start to look at our filters, when we start to look at our responses, when we start to look at our ableness to respond, our responsibility, we start to see that it is our responsibility to deal with us. So much of the time, people are projecting their stuff onto others. So it still happens all day long, every day for most people. It's easier now in the collective consciousness right now on the planet with all the things going on for it to be even easier for people to project their stuff onto others instead of dealing with it within themselves. First of all, I'm not going to say I'm immune to this for sure, but I will say that my go-to anymore is far better than it ever was. I couldn't see that I was doing that when I was doing that, and then eventually I could see I was doing it and would stay in doing it even though I knew I was doing it. And then I got to the point of the process of growth where I was able to see that I was going to do it or was starting to do it or was in it and would pull myself out of it. So remember what we were just talking about. Projecting our stuff onto others instead of looking inward and taking personal responsibility for ourselves, for our stuff, for being triggered, for why instantaneously you start reacting in a certain way, or why is it that you woke up one day and you checked your email and you got some not so great news, and then your whole day is ruined, right? So we have the ability to personally respond to our inner patterns, our inner dialogue, our inner child, our inner ways of usual behavioral ways. That is the first kind of encapsulation. That's the first bit to start being able to pay attention to our ability to be in the moment when we're experiencing something, asking ourselves, is this how I really want to respond? Is this what I really want to do? Give it a pause, right? And then if you go into doing it, can you get out faster than you did before? Can you see it and then change the behavior? Can you see it and not do it? These are kinds of the stages that we go through. The unwinding of patterns, like I said before, this way we respond. Everybody is at a different stage. Everyone is at a different stage. And I say that because I've watched myself go through so many different stages of that, you know? And so there is an evolution happening for all souls. And that's a really important piece, right? Especially now. I want to kind of say that. That's a really important piece right now as we are all going through such pivotal, historical, huge life changes on this planet and collectively as humanity, and also individually in the places, the families, the regions, the cities, the states, the countries that we're living in. You know, we are collectively going through something humongous, and it's easy to get pulled in and swayed. I get that way even on the regular still. And I have to really reset my energy. I have to really come back and do the work to go, wait, where did I go wrong? And I mean wrong by where did I just let myself kind of fall into an unconscious pattern? One of the ways I'm going to say to you all that is super helpful and important, I think, is, well, I know, is the practice of meditation, to getting into silence. I probably will always mention that because it is definitely a tool that I have used throughout my adult life, that has shifted my consciousness, that has helped me ground and center, that helps me see myself and my patterns, that helps me get in touch with the field, the energetic field around me, the invisible field around me. It is where my gifts dropped in completely, where I started to be able to really sense all the things that I was not being able to sense because my mind was so distracted. Do you know that we have at least 90,000 thoughts a day? Right? That is a lot of thinking. And where's the heart in that? Where is the soul in that? We have been very programmed to be constantly plugged into the outside and overstimulated, overthinking, overanalyzing all the time. This is the drives, and it's pretty normal. But there is a rising consciousness that is happening for us here. So, in part, my sort of topic here in this part of the moment is that our liberation from those old patterns and ways of being unconsciously, the unconsciousness of those patterns and behaviors, they have to be called out by us. We can see these things happen over and over again. We pick the same kind of partners, or we see ourselves acting out the same ways. We see ourselves going towards certain things to get our own attention time after time after time and after time. And then ultimately, it does become very clear that this is my personal responsibility to clean up, to heal, to do the work around. That blaming people outside of myself, or blaming others, blaming the world, blaming our government doesn't work, right? So I've talked a lot about this. And once that starts to settle in, we begin to realize that ultimately, basically, once liberation starts to be a process that we're having, where you see yourself becoming more and more free, not disconnected, but free in the way where you are very present in the moment and very conscious, experiencing something not from the reactionary space, being really open, being really present. Most people really aren't that present, right? They're thinking about what they got to say. They're taking the person in. They're judging the person. They're thinking about other things. Like, what does it take for us to get present, not just with another person, but what does it take to get present in here? So some of that is absolutely, like I said before, our meditation time, nature, breath, silence. All those things are really vital. Bringing ourselves back to what really matters. And asking, I think this is a very important question, asking ourselves, really and truly, why are you here? Not from the ego's point of view, not from the point of view of like, how do I achieve something so I am seen as great? How do I have a better bank account? All of that kind of stuff. We are here for an expanded soul experience. We are here to learn the lessons and keep moving forward. We are here to expand through and in this life, recognize things that help us do that. Ultimately, once we get some of that on board internally, we begin to see that that leads into a unification with the one we are, with that there is only one here. This oneness that I am part of everything here, and even my thoughts or my reactions or my unwillingnesses are feeding and collectively adding into the whole. And so when you feel that, and when you feel those shifts, at least for me, when I have felt those shifts, man, I feel like I am connected to everything and everyone, while simultaneously knowing that there's so much more going on here. it's not even the I, Grace, that is experiencing that. It's it's just something so much greater. And then at the same time, I'm able to then uh, feel the impetus to want to have an experience of unity, unification, union with others, and union with the world. Unity consciousness is then where we become of service to others because it is genuinely a need, or I wouldn't even say a need, genuinely the natural response to the inward feeling of your own security, your own knowingness of who you are. Um, that is what liberation to me right now is, as part of the conversation. I think I'll always keep coming back and weaving more in. Um, so there's this that I wanted to talk about, and then, in regards to the work that I have been doing for a really long time and how that relates to right now on the planet. Um, how do I say that? Um, the channeling work that I have been doing for all these years has been profoundly life-changing, and I am forever grateful for the work that I have done with others, that has done and helped me, um, and my life. And I do feel that it is important to say that I will always want to be in service that way. And so on this first episode of um, Liberation and Unity with Grace, we're going to go into a channeling, okay? And in part because I just want to kind of give a blessing, if you will, right, to this piece of the show that I'm going to be doing, right? Like I said, the authenticity of me, the authenticness of me, to be telling it like it is, and no editing and no filters, right? To be honest. I think, we're also programmed these days, especially to be just perfect, or to be, people are going through a lot, and it helps when others are really honest and true, and that sense of their truth and honesty is coming through. I also feel that, years ago, I started on my own journey. And the thing that I realized is if I wasn't going to be honest with myself, I was never going to be able to be honest with the people around me. And I saw no point in that. I saw that that was only harming me in my life. That if I was here for anything, I was here to grow. If I was here for anything, I was here to, it wasn't to toil away for a bank account. It was, or a job or a position or a status. It was to toil away, clear out the things that made me uh, of a life less lived. And a life less lived for me felt like if I'm not able to be honest with myself, which sometimes takes really deep digging and really big courage, but when I was able to be honest with myself, I could be better and truer in my honesty with others. And then everything felt better. So, in that, I think that, what's important here too is the vulnerability to be whatever we are. So, I am going to do a channeling today to kind of set the tone, give it a blessing, share for you, have you see how it is for me that how I do it. And not every day, not every time, not every Monday are we going to have a channeling, but for today we are. So I'm going to just be authentic and real and step away and let them come in. And for those of you who have been on my channel, you understand what's about to happen. I'm going to channel. And I have been doing this for 15 years now. And I want to say that it's my honor, and also that I never know what's going to happen. And what else? I hope you enjoy it. We'll see what comes out. It's probably going to be Osairah, and they are wonderful and loving. And so here we go. Alrighty. I have to yawn. Okay. Indeed. Greetings to you, dear one. We are that one known as Osairah, and we are, in fact, overjoyed to be in this alignment with you. We are recognizing this moment. We are recognizing the way in which this may touch your heart and your soul and your consciousnesses. We are recognizing the whole of humanity at this time. We are recognizing the grand and great shifts you are going through internally as an individual, maybe, and also as the collectives that you are in total, we would say. The orchestration of this moment is an offering of love. That was the point, we would say, with our beloved channels talk. The bottom line there was, it is about love, dear ones. This is about the way in which you transform your own inner experience with love, therefore then becoming, feeling, and experiencing a freedom and a liberation, which then breeds more love. And then there is this expansion into unity. We would like to say that that is what we see as your potentials of the life experience, the life that you are here to live. We see that more and more and more and more and more of you are opening up, expanding, learning, growing, and allowing for yourselves to come into the greater aspects of your being. And that really is it. That doesn't mean that there aren't the challenges. The experience that you are going through in the collective, the ways in which the world is moving and shifting in order to bring in that wider experience of consciousness, is going to require a lot of breakdown. You could say it. And we do, and have been saying it. We have been prepping you for a very long time. We say that with joy. We say that with love. We say that with lightness of being, because we have been talking about these things for a very long time. We have been sharing that you would be going through the word, a connected experience on the earth that would bring about much what you would say, how should we say the word? We have used kind of a destruction, right? So you're going to have to go through sort of a take it all downness to build it back up again. And that is not a bad thing, and yet it tends to be at first especially experienced as fearful, because you're breaking down what you have known. And what you have known simultaneously as is evidence has been not working so much. And so there is this expansion that is moving through your consciousness and your ways of living that is calling you to the higher order in yourselves, and then to be that in the world. What we see is those, the word, stumbling blocks or pivot points would be the words, allowing yourself to fall into big fear. But fear is in and of itself an entire conversation. One of the things we would say about that is the way in which you hold your own in regards to an actual frequency, the holding that you allow yourself to feel. You must process some of these things. It is true. You cannot live in denial. But at the same time, you also could benefit yourselves to notice what you are deciding to plug into. How are you living moment to moment? How are you living in this experience moment to moment? What are you choosing? We have often said you are human choosers. Some of our friends don't like to hear that because they don't want to take that responsibility that our beloved Shalom was speaking about. What it takes is an inward personal responsibility. And that comes back to not being in the victim mode. And we know that victim mode is highly amplified, highly a part of the consciousness in this realm. So one of the things we would say is returning to the truth that you are beyond, that you are on the ground in your physical body, here to experience life as it is, but yet at the same time evolve. And your limitations are your own in some ways, the making within yourselves. We also know many of our human friends don't like to hear that. So we just bring it back to, what are you doing in your own home, in your own life, in your own experience each and every day? Are you adding into your biology in healthful and healing ways? Are you remembering that there is something greater and greater and greater here that is not always in the visible realm, but yet still is a part of the fabric of the experience of life? We say and have said for years upon years upon years, it is your greatest journey to come into a physical incarnation, to become aware of all that is within you, firstly, and to be then realizing that there is a way in which you expand your consciousness while being in a body, to remember that you are beyond the body. That doesn't mean you forget the body. That doesn't mean you don't honor the body. That doesn't mean you don't take care of the body, or that you don't think that this world that you are living in is real. It is, of course. You have incarnated and you are living this life and you are participating in this world and you are a part of the collective whole. And so, as that evolutionary process is occurring, we say with a joyful expression to give to you, to remind you that it can and does create from good. It does create from expansion. You are in an expanding period. You are in an expansion of consciousness. And so individually, we say with so much love and so much joy to your hearts, we say the expression is that love is the greatest journey of all. If you can see yourself choosing love on a regular basis, it doesn't mean you deny the things that might be occurring. It means, how do you return to love within yourself? Even if that means making a very difficult choice. Maybe you need to leave a relationship. Maybe you need to leave a place. Maybe you need to do something different, changing the experience that you are having. That's a choice within the experience of being a human chooser. And at the same time, you can make that choice with love, not fear. Fear only creates more anxiety, stress, worry, insecurity, makes you move faster than you maybe would have if you got centered and focused and choose from love. So we say that these are key components to the expansion consciousness that is occurring on this planet at this time. Those of you who can the word, be practical in your experiences, be critical thinkers in your experience, be in tune and aligned with your own intuition, and do the work within, looking at what is occurring within you. That is a key. That is a grand and beautiful doorway. This is what so many upon the planet are doing at this time. So many of you in this collective experience are doing. We would say to you, this expansion in consciousness is extraordinary. And we see it as a very good thing, if you will. So we would like to honor this the willingness here with our beloved channel to be in participation in a different and wider way, as she says, because this is the time for it. And we say that we hope this helps in our offerings, and in all ways we be a part of this, yes. And we are recognizing as a consciousness that if we were to say to you that the greatest journey you have ahead of you is really with you and you, that is not a selfish thing. The journey with you and you is the expansion and the totality of all that is. And the more that you expand your consciousness into these ways that we are saying, opening into love and unification, remembering that there is, in a certain sense, only one of you here. And we know that that for some really becomes a trigger point, but we will also say that those of you who hear us and understand that, you have done the work, you're looking inward, and there is a lot to be found there. We would say to you that it is your, as we often say, your freedom ticket. Your freedom ticket is the inward journey. The pieces that have been the stumbling blocks, the hardest brick walls that you've come up against are those things that must be tended to and returned to, looked at within, felt, 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 dealt with, so that you become flowing and free again, over and over and over. The more you do this, the more it accumulates, the more you become changed, the more that you reveal the newer parts of you, the truth of you, the inner beingness that is here to call yourself to a higher consciousness and order within yourself, not to be in comparison with others, not to be that you are better than others, not to be that you are the most right of others, none of that. For you and you alone, for you and the one who you are. Then, therefore, you will offer into the world that which you have transposed, transmuted, that which you have become transformed by will be an offering to the world just by your being. It doesn't mean you have to write a book. It doesn't mean you have to do a TV program. It doesn't mean you have to go out and stand on a street corner and tell it like it is. What we're saying is the ultimate expression of all of that is the change that becomes you. And it becomes natural to you. And it becomes the way in which you express the inner workings and the truth that you have experienced. Your lived experience is a potent offering, dearest ones. We say, begin where you are. Land in your own heart. We know for some that is very scary and it is uncomfortable. Some of you we see will know that you have done a lot of this work. And there is always more. Why we say more? Because you are in an incorporated body. You are here with this consciousness. You are expanding evolutionarily. And there is, as you would say in some terms, there is work to do. Meaning, work on the inside, and then there is seemingly work on the outside. It's not necessarily work when it becomes love. When you have, the words are recalibrated, that feeling of that's how you do it, the word, like when you would say, the work I do on the inside becomes the love that I do on the inside. That changes the vibration to the work that then becomes not work on the outside. It becomes the love you do on the outside. This two components, this way is all one. The work, which is love, that you do on the inside, the way you find yourself in your heart and in your soul, to and in relationship with love with yourself, become transposed into the relationship and the love you express and give and be and live and do the work from on the outside. This all is the synergistic components that you're here to expand and see within yourselves. We can't say it's one way because you are all in a great expansion collectively. We can give you the guide points, and that's what we are here to do. We absolutely are overjoyed for the participation and know that this is going to become a greater, deeper immersion. That this offering here with our beloved channel, even and of itself, is going to become a greater and deeper offering. So we look forward to that as well. We say to each and every one of you, deepen into the heart and soul of your own being. Listen, look, and find the truth. For the truth within you is what is liberation, and then which is love, which is unity, consciousness. And we are here for that. We look forward to more, and we bid you the most loving and magical and happy adieu. Hello, I am back. So you'll see that I get right to it. And, like I said before, this is just the authenticity of this moment and personally where I'm at, and no editing, and my own vulnerabilities and reality and experiences. So today, one of the things I wanted to do, and I'm going to depart with this, is I have this book that I've had on my shelf for years. I probably got this, 1992. A Guide for the Advanced Soul, a book of insight. It's been sitting on my, it's in my library. I've had it for a long time. It even went through a flood with me. So I have a little, I've got the wrinkled pages there. So it is called A Guide for the Advanced Soul. And rather than pull a card, which I often like to do too, I wanted to pull this one and open it up and see what we've got for our closing contemplation. So until next Monday, thank you for being here with me. Please like or subscribe this video, and I would really love to see you on a regular basis. Any and all comments are appreciated. And if you have some topics that you would like to hear about, or things that you think are pretty poignant and important for conversation, for guests, for things like that, I'll take them. I love it. Thank you for that. And I opened it to one page, and I'm going to read this here. Every time we say, I must do something, it takes an incredible amount of energy. Far more than physically doing it. So that is Gita Bilin. And that's pretty interesting, because I will be honest, because I'm going to be honest with you all. Making this video was very challenging today. Very challenging, more than a few takes just to even get, this full-on one going here. So there were many obstacles, a very bad headache, and a lot of stress that I was kind of self-creating, because I put myself on this timeline that it has to be done and set out on Monday, obviously. So the point is that that is perfect. And I'm noticing every time we say, I must do something, it takes an incredible amount of energy, far more than physically doing it. Well, I did it. I got through it. Here we are. I'm super grateful that we did this one episode, this first episode. I look forward to more with you all too, just like Osairah always says. And I'm happy you would join me, and I would look forward to your comments. I really do. Thank you so much, and have a really blessed week.